Here we have the start of Chapter 11, which deals with using what is called our general journal. We have 3 learning objectives that we're going to cover within this section. Explain the purpose of a general journal, dealing with purchases, returns, and allowances, and being able to post a general journal to the accounts payable ledger and general ledger. So when we take a look at a general ledger, general journal, our general journal is a journal with 2 amount columns which all kinds of entries can be recorded into. Now we know we've already worked with several special journals. We had our sales, our purchases, cash receipts, and cash payments. So we have 4 special journals, and general journal is not a special journal. So we take a look at here, we have a memorandum. So we're buying supplies on an account. So we know when we hear the transaction bought supplies on an account, that supplies is going up, and that we're also having to affect accounts payable, in this case 3 green products. So if we think about our 4 special journals, sales, this transaction does not affect customers buying on an account. Purchases is only when we buy merchandise on an account. We're not paying any cash and we're not receiving any cash. So when we take a look at this source document, this tells us it can't go in any of those special journals. So we're going to put it in our general journal. So again, buying supplies on an account, bought store supplies on an account from Estee Supply, $165.25, Memorandum 42. Supplies is going to be debited $165.25, and we're going to have accounts payable credited $165.25. So this takes a look at our general journal. So when we look at our general journal, there are only 2 columns, debit and credit, no special columns. So when we take a look at journalizing it, we're going to put our date here first of December 2nd, and we'll put in our account title, which is going to be debiting supplies store for $165.25. That goes straightforward enough. But when we get to our second account title where it says Estee Supply, remember before that we always wrote accounts payable Estee Supply, and so far in chapter 9 and chapter 10 we have not had to write the word accounts payable or accounts receivable. We used a special column. Well, there is no special column in a general journal, so we have to write the word accounts payable, and then we have to write / Estee Supply. These are 2 completely separate accounts. This gets posted in our general ledger, this gets posted in our accounts payable ledger. So then we also have to have the / here. The top part of the / here means I'm posting to accounts payable. The bottom part of the / tells me I'm posting to Estee Supply. So you got to make sure you put both of those words in there, and then we're going to credit accounts payable Estee Supply $165.25. Memorandum number is M42, our debit and our credit amount. So we'll go through and take a look at that. So we also have to deal with the fact that we are going to have credit allowed for when we have returned merchandise. So basically what happens is I am a golf course, and I bought some golf balls. And I got them in and I realized these are not the ones I want and I want to return them. So originally when I bought the golf balls, I recorded it using purchases, but I'm returning it now, so I'm going to have a special account called Purchases, Returns, and Allowance. So Purchases Returns deals with the fact that I am returning products that I would normally sell and I don't want them anymore, so it has to decrease my customer's accounts payable to the vendor. Then the allowance part is basically if I go through and pay part of it using purchases discounts or any of those types of things. So that's going to be our allowance is going to fall in there. All of our purchases, returns, and allowances are going to be recorded using something called a debit memorandum. So this is going to be a new source document. So what I need you to remember from this slide is that a debit memorandum means that you're going to be using the account title, purchases, returns, and allowance. Okay? So this is what a debit memorandum looks like. Okay, so we have a debit memorandum. We're going to Mobley Tools. We're returning $43.90 worth of 18-watt power batteries for that for the total. We can see our date. Our debit memorandum is number 38, and the vendor is going to be 240. So we're going to take this information and figure out what is the transaction. It's going to read return merchandise to Mobley Tools 4390, covering purchase invoice 528, debit memorandum number 38. This first part that says purchase invoice 528 stands for the fact that was the original invoice that we had used to record the fact that we bought those batteries. So my accounts payable is going down 4390. Purchases, returns, and allowance is going up 4390. Now, purchases is a cost account. Purchases, returns, and allowance is a contra account to our cost account. So purchases has a debit balance. So purchases, returns, and allowance is going to have a credit normal balance. So all of those items, anytime we're affecting purchases, returns, and allowance, remember that you have to credit it, and the value in that account is going up and up and up. And at the end of the fiscal period, we're going to look at that account and we're going to find out how much did we return. So for example, if my fiscal period is going to be 3 months, and at the end of 3 months, I go through and look at purchases, returns, and allowance, and I see that the value in that account is $40,000, that tells me throughout these last 3 months, we have returned $40,000 worth of product that we originally bought. And that's not necessarily good. We don't want to spend a lot of time in our business doing that. So how do we journalize that? Well, first, we're going to know that it's going to go in our general journal. Let's go ahead and get our date, and then we're going to go ahead and get our account title. And this is going to be Accounts Payable Mobley Tools. Debit memorandum. We have to do this slash line again because anytime I use accounts payable, I have to have the name of the vendor as well. So I have accounts payable / Mobley Supply, just like I did before, except this is being debited instead of credited. Our debit amount for $43.90. Then we're going to credit purchases, returns, and allowance, and we're going to credit that $43.90. So next thing we'll do is we're going to take a look at posting, and we're going to post this from our general journal to our accounts payable ledger. Now this is our accounts payable ledger. We can tell this because it says vendor number, excuse me, instead of account title. So we're going to go ahead and post. First thing we'll do here is we'll get the date. We'll put the date of the second, and it's going to have G2 because it's standing for General Journal page 12. And then I'm going to grab the amount. The $165.25 is going to be here as a credit. It originally had a credit balance, so I'm going to add those two together to get my new balance of $985.25. Now we'll do the same thing for Mobley. You can see here for Mobley, we'll get the date of the 8th, G12, and then we are going through and debiting $43.90. It originally had a debit balance, so we're going to go through and subtract. The last thing we do on both of them is I take my account number 220 and 240, and it goes back up here. Notice that it goes below the slash line because Estee Supply and Mobley Tools goes to the right of the slash line. So that's going to be how we post from our general journal to our accounts payable ledger. Now, let's take a look at how do we post from our general journal to our general ledger. Well, first of all, this is our general ledger because see right here it says account number and we have a 4-digit number. We're going to get the date, go ahead and put that on there. Our journal page number, we're going to use G12 because it's the general journal page 12. I'm going to grab my debit amount of $165.25. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the account balance. So I'm going to go ahead and post this $165 here to store supplies. Now, when I take a look at line 2, I have to actually post this to the accounts payable. And accounts payable right here is being credited $165.25. It has previously had a credit balance, so I need to add it together. This had a debit balance, so it add together. The last thing I do on both of them is take my account numbers and put them back up here. Now, for accounts payable, the 2110 goes on top of the slash line because accounts payable is listed on the left-hand side. So that is an introduction to what we're going to be taking a look at as section 11-1.